Zefra is a pendulum deck that not a lot of players pay attention to until it's either A, ripping cards out of your opponent's hand and going for a true King of All Calamities play, or B, just straight up FTKing your opponent. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you some of the intricacies of the Zefra strategy. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go and destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, go ahead and that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. I also want to give a special thanks to every single one of my Patreons. Without you guys, videos like this would not be possible. Also, a mad shout out to our newest Patreon, Christoph Nishke. Welcome to the clan. Make sure you add yourself to that Discord as well as message me or Jest so we can get you guys in the top dog so you can take advantage of all your rewards. Without further ado, I present to you a competitive Zefra deck profile for this format. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so statistic-wise, I think that Zefra could top a regional level event. It's a very, very fun deck to play, and it does play similar to Pendulum Magicians. You set up your scales, you make Electromite, and then you start to make some negation boards. The thing that separates this deck from Magicians is how it makes its negation boards, being able to have access to negations inside of the main deck, as well as being able to make a Calamities play and still FTK if you guys decide to go that route. Let's start talking about the monsters so you guys can get better acclimated to the strategy and some secret techs that we play. We run 3 copies of Big Daddy Zefra, possibly the best pendulum monster to have in your pendulum scale. It can make itself either a high scale or a low scale by placing a Zefra monster from your deck to your extra deck face up, which fuels your pendulum plays. Its monster effect isn't so good. You have to tribute all monsters you control with at least 3 Zefra monsters, and he has to go from your extra deck to your extra monster zone. So if you're giving up a Link monster, then you're getting him back in return. He has a 3,450 body, so I guess he can get over a lot of monsters. And then if you tribute a monster, you can spell summon a Zefra monster from your deck to your side of the field. So he does have good things, but you're probably never going to use that effect. The fact that he can turn himself into a high scale or a low scale should be enough for you to play 3. Next is 3 copies of Zefra Nui. This guy is insane too. So first of all Zefra monsters except for Zefra, when they're in your pin scale, you can only summon their Zefra monsters or their respective strategy. Zefra obviously ignores that, which is why it's the best scale. Zefra Nui, when it is pendulum summoned or destroyed in the monster zone, you can add 1 Zefra or Yangzing spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Complete catalyst for getting your free negates from your deck to your hand. 1 copy of Zefroxy. This boy is so bad. When he is pendulum summoned, you can target 1 Zefra monster you control other than himself and turn it into a tuner. So these 2 automatically make Synchro 9, but Zefrindi and the Zefroxy make Synchro 6. And even more importantly, when these 2 monsters are summoned at the same time, you can make Zefroxy Chainlink 2 and Zefra Nui Chainlink 1, meaning that you can essentially dodge Ash Blossom and Joy Spring every single time. Now Zefrindi is really good because when she is normal summoned or pendulum summoned, you can take the burden of having to have a Link monster in your arrows and add that monster to your hand through Zefrindi. It has to be a Zefra monster, so I mean, I guess there's a little bit of a drawback, but it's still really, really good just being able to have such versatility in this card's effect. That is it for the Zefra engine, ladies and gentlemen. You can actually run a bigger one if you guys want to. I'll be able to show you guys in the other cards that you can play. I'm going to kind of blaze through the rest of the deck, or at least the rest of the other engines, because they're almost self-explanatory if you're a pendulum player. 3 copies of Dragon Darkworm and 2 copies of Gate Zero. Donut actually does serve a really big purpose inside of this deck because it's a low scale. It's actually a 0 scale, and hard drawing this card is not a problem. Darkworm is just Darkworm. It's that free Electromite food, and on top of that, it has the ability to make your guard dragon plays. 1 copy of Performapal Odd Eye Synchron. Now this card is a little odd, but the best resource for it is that you can special summon a monster from your pendulum zone to your side of the field, cough cough Gate Zero, and then use it for a synchro summon. This is a synchro heavy deck, and this card likes to take advantage of that. 1 copy of Destrudo. Dragons are highly valued inside of this deck, and Destrudo helps you tutor your synchro plays. We run 2 copies of Magical Abductor. Now this might be a card that you might not be used to seeing in pendulum decks, but Zefra's run a freak ton of spell cards, and being able to have value within those spell cards, not only searching for what you need, but getting a free pendulum scale in the process is amazing. You put that with the fact that Magical Abductor actually is a low scale too, you can't go wrong with Abductor inside of Zefra. We run the Mythical Beast engine, which is 3 Cerberus and 2 Jackal King. Now I know, ladies and gentlemen, these cards have went up in price due to the new structure structure deck coming out, and I can actually proudly say that this deck is not reliant on the Mythical Beast engine. You don't have to play it. There's definitely going to be some alternative cards that you could play instead of the Mythical Beast engine, because the deck isn't necessarily reliant or needs its normal summon. You can just normal summon and make Electromite as long as you have that one free special summon. 3 copies of Chronograph Sorcerer with the Time Gazer Magician. Chrono is especially valued because it's a 6 scale, and it allows you to spell summon that Time Gazer to your side of the field. Not a 6 scale, but a level 6. Sightframe Gear Gamma is a card that I felt was a little more important than Called by the Grave, because this card can get you 2 free monsters, which allows you to rip another opponent's monster out of your hand, or it allows you to get some free synchro summons or extra link plays. Next is 1 copy of Effect Veiler. This deck can actually search your hand traps, so have no fear. If you guys actually just want to play more hand traps, go ahead and play them. You can search them, and you don't need multiples because you can search them. And then lastly is my super secret tech, ladies and gentlemen. I decided that throughout the month I'm going to be giving you guys cards that you should buy before I make the video. And to my Patreons, I've just been posting on Discord like crazy. Hey, you guys should buy this card. Hey, you guys should buy this card. And this time around, we're going to talk about is Amorphage Sloth. So this guy is actually pendulum summonable in your hand, unlike Amorphage Goliath, who is a level 8 monster. And he has almost the exact same effect. I'm not knocking Amorphage Goliath. You can actually run both of these monsters in tandem, because if you summon Amorphage Goliath to your side of the field and put Sloth into your scale, now neither player can search. And you guys know how powerful searching gets. Nonetheless, Sloth basically does the exact same thing as Goliath, but if you have it in your hand, you can pendulum summon it, and on top of that, it's a low scale. That's pretty much it for the monsters. For the spells, we run quite a bit of them. 3 copies of Oracle of Zefra. There are 9 ways to get into this card, and it's really good. The ability to allow you to add a Zefra monster from your deck to your hand is just invaluable. It's a reinforcement of the army. Set rotation, terraforming, or set rotation into terraforming. You guys should already know what that's for. And then Dragon Ravine acts as the other target for a field spell. Fun fact, guys, if you give your opponent the Oracle of Zefra and they play a field spell deck, they better hope they play a Zefra, because they won't be able to activate Oracle of Zefra, which means that they can't activate their field spells. 3 copies of Zefra Providence, more reinforcement of the armies. You guys are starting to see why Magical Abductor is so good. 2 copies of Dragon Shrine in the Foolish Burial to send Destrudo and Darkworm to the graveyard, and then 9 Pillars of the Yangzing and Zefra Divine Strike. That pretty much sums up the main board, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm going to show you guys some alternative cards that you guys could be playing and why they are good. Okay, so for alternative cards, Gelen Duo is mandatory for the FTK, but besides Gelen Duo, you can run another Dragon's Ravine and more Zefra cards, that being Zefra Palissa, Zefroxa, Flame Beast, and Shadow Zefra Core. All of these cards serve a specific purpose. Core can actually special summon you Zefra monsters from your Pendulum Zone. Zefroxa seems really bad until you realize it's a dragon card, so it's a Dragon Ravine, Foolish Burial, and it's also a target for your Dragon Shrine. And then Zefra Palissa, these 2 cards can act as a 1 summon Electromite. You ravine this to the graveyard, you normal summon this card to your side of the field, and then this and the other Zefra monster, the other Tether Knight Zefra monster, are pretty good. So you guys also have all that to play in Amorphage Sloth, as well as hand traps. You guys are pretty much set for whatever you want to play for the extra deck. And of course, guys, we do have other options that you guys could play. The Link monsters, we are going to play Zefro Metatron, Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, Land Fornicus, and of course the Guard Dragon Elpi. I didn't want to go Link heavy into this deck. You could play more into the strategy, but I just didn't feel it was necessary. I thought that this was enough to be able to sustain you throughout games. For the Xseed monsters, you're going to run 1 copy of True King All Calamities, Absolute Dragon. Absolute Dragon can actually be cut, as well as the Meteor Burst and Vortex, depending on how you guys feel about that. For the Synchros, we're going to run Cloud Castle, X-Saber Golems, and Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng is a part of a combo on its own, as well as X-Saber Golems and Cloud Castle. Both of these cards are part of the loop to get you True King of All Calamities, and you'll be able to rip a card out of your opponent's hand. Next is Cyframe Lord Omega. Not only do we play the Gammas, Omega is still pretty powerful. Being able to rip a card out of your opponent's hand and then shuffle cards into your deck by placing them into the extra deck. Dragster and Odd Eyes Vortex. Vortex again is or Meteor Burst is again a card you guys can drop, and Dragster is a free negate. Starters, Charge Warrior and Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Charge Warrior is so important to the deck, but as you guys can see, there was only 14 cards for this extra deck. I'm going to give you guys a plethora of options, actually 10 options if you guys ask me. Now, Nightmare Griffin is probably one of the best Link 4 monsters for the deck, but I would personally put Saryuja Skull Dread above it, just because the Link arrows point more into your favor, and on top of that, it requires just 2 monsters just like Griffin. Next is Pisky if you guys want to go super awesome and start special summoning monsters like Crystal Wing or Hot Red Dragon, Archfiend. Triple Burst Dragon if you guys want to play more cards like Argapane and all that other stuff. That's pretty much it, but I'm sorry. And Metaphys Horus is the 15th card that you guys could play, because if you use a Pendulum, your opponent has to give you control of one of your monsters. So that's pretty much it for that. For the my apologies, for the FTK, you're going to need to play Agave Dragon, Summon Sorceress, Beatrice, Gaia Dragon, and Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. I'll be able to show you guys in the combos why it is so powerful, but let's actually get right into those combos so I can show you some of the best combos that this deck has to offer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to spare any expense. I'm just going to go take you straight to the Big Daddy combo. It is a 4-card combo, which requires you to have your Mythical Beast Master Cerberus. You don't necessarily need to play this card, but it makes it so much more spicier. You're also going to need a way to send Destrudo into the graveyard, well as Dragon Ravine, Dragon Shrine, or Foolish Burial. And you're also going to need Oracle of Zefra in your hand. Now, the 4th card is actually going to be your Performer Power Odd Eye Synchron or your Zefroxy, Treasure of the Gangzing. If you have either of these 2 cards in your hand, your opponent might as well just scoop it up. There's no way for them to be able to recover this. You're just going to outright win the game. And just so happen, if your opponent happens to hand trap you and you have the Cypher Gear Gamma, it makes it even worse, because you'll be able to rip 2 cards out of their hand and then make this combo, which is essentially GG no re. For all intents and purposes, we're just going to go ahead and say we have the Zefroxy in our hand and the Performer Power Odd Eye Synchron is in our extra deck. We're going to go ahead and start off by using Dragon Shrine, sending 1 dragon monster from our deck to the graveyard. That's going to be Supreme King Dragon Darkworm, and then we're going to spell summon itself to our side of the field, which will allow us to get the Dunkin' Donuts. And then from there, we're going to activate the Mythical Beast Master Cerberus, destroying itself to add the Jackal King. Jackal King activating to destroy itself to special summon the Mythical Beast Master Cerberus. Using these 2 monsters for a link summon, we're going to go ahead and make Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, using its ability to either place the Zefroxy or the Performer Power Odd Eye Synchron into our extra deck. Then we're going to activate the Oracle of Zefra, which will allow us to get our Zefroth from our decks to our hand. Activate the Zefroth into the scale and then put Zephyr Nui into your extra deck, and then activate your Supreme King Gate 0. Before you Pendulum Summon, you want to use your Heavy Metal Foes Electromite to destroy your Oracle of Zefra, and you're going to add Performer Power Odd Eye Synchron from your deck to your hand. Now you can finally Pendulum Summon. I'm going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon the Odd Eyes, the Zefroxy, the Zephyr Nui, and the Mythical Beast Jackal King. And from there, I'm going to be able to actually activate my Zefroxy as Chainlink 2 and my Zephyr Nui as Chainlink 1 to prevent our opponent from Ash Blossoming and Joy Spring us, or just interacting with the Zephyr Nui in total. Zephyr Nui is going to add Zephyr Providence, and Zefroxy is going to turn Zephyr Nui into a tuner, using both of these monsters now for a Synchro Summon into our X-Saber Gothams. Now, X-Saber Gothams contribute itself to rip a card out of our opponent's hand. We're going to go ahead and do so. We're then going to use our Performer Power Odd Eye Synchron to spell summon our Gate 0 to the scale and immediately use it for a Synchro Summon to special summon Cloud Castle. Cloud Castle is going to bring right back our Gothams, and now we can either use Gothams to tribute another card, or B, even better, use that for an Exceed summon of True King of All Calamities. Finally, Zephyr Providence is going to add Zephyr Divine Strike, which will place 2 counters on your Mythical Beast Jackal King. This board is insane. For a normal Pendulum board, we get to lock our opponent out of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For True King of All Calamities, and then we have interruptions for those interruptions, and I'm pretty sure after that, we'll be following up with game. Zefra is just too strong. Now, like combo number 1, combo number 2 can be done in a myriad of ways. Actually, if you don't have the Zefroxy or Performer Power Odd Eye Synchron, you can do this exact same combo and end up with the exact same board. This combo is more optimal because you'll be able to draw a card in the process. It requires Magical Abductor, Terraforming, and Chronograph Sorcerer. What we're going to do is activate the Magical Abductor into our scale and then use Terraforming to add Oracle of Zephyr from our deck to our hand. That's going to place a counter on our Abductor. We're going to follow up by activating the Oracle of Zefra to add Zefra from our deck to our hand, placing another counter on Abductor. And then we're going to get to 3 counters by activating the Chronograph Sorcerer and then destroying it to special summon the Time Gazer Magician from our decks to our side of the field. Let me just fetch that Time Gazer Magician real quick. Whoa, how much? I think I misplaced it really quick. That's interesting. I had it right in my hands. Here it is. So special summoning itself to our side of the field. Use the magical Abductor to add, and you guys won't believe it, our Dark Worm boy from our decks to our hand, and then normal summoning it using its ability to add the Donut from our decks to our hand. From there, you can use Time Gazer Magician and the Dark Worm for a link summon into your Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, and now Electromite's gonna add Mythical Beast Jackal King from your deck to your extra deck. Go ahead and destroy your magical Abductor to add the Jackal King from your deck to your hand, and trigger Electromite's effect to add one or to draw an additional card. Let me go ahead and draw a card that's not gonna affect the outcome. So we're just gonna draw we're gonna draw another gate. It doesn't matter. Use the gate into your scale and the Zefroth, and then the Zefroth is gonna go ahead and change its level to a 7 by placing that Zefra Nui into your extra deck. From there, we can go ahead and Pendulum Summon. We're gonna Pendulum Summon the Mythical Beast. Let me flip this face down so I don't confuse it with another card. We're gonna Pendulum Summon the Mythical Beast Jackal King, the Zefra Nui, and the Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm. Now, it's really important that Jackal King doesn't go to where your Zefra Metaltron will point to. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it right here. We're gonna go ahead and use the effects of our Zefra Nui Secret of the Yangzing to add Zefra Providence. And now Providence is going to go ahead and activate itself, and that's going to allow us to get Zefra Divine Strike from our decks to our hand and place 2 counters on our Jackal King. The Zefra Nui and the Electromite are going to be used for a link summon into your Metaltron, and then the Dark Worm is going to be used for a link summon into your Guard Dragon Elpi. Now, since there are 2 arrows pointing somewhere, you can spell summon that dragon monster from your deck to your side of the field. I strongly recommend that you guys go ahead and special summon the super secret spicy tech card. Where's that card? Hold on. The super secret spicy tech card. It's not the Amorphage Goliath. It's the other card that I showed you guys. Now, if you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, then you won't need to play Amorphage Goliath. So this combo is gonna give you 2 negates inside of the Jackal King and Zefra Divine Strike, and it's also gonna force your opponent or both players not to be able to spell summon from an extra deck, but you have a pretty good board while your opponent typically doesn't. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the combo that some of you guys might not know about. Yes, Zefras can FTK, and this has been known inside of the Pendulum community for quite some time, but it's something that I feel that some players need to realize, because if more people realize this, maybe a little bit more people would play it. Now, the FTK does require you to change 5 cards out of your extra deck, as well as play Gale and Duo into your main deck, but then at the same time, it's an FTK. And the fact that this deck can do it pretty consistently, the only thing you need to do is to be able to make 2 6s on your side of the field, be able to make Summon Sorceress, and then also have a way, or just have another monster on your field for the Strudel to work with. And that's pretty much the FTK. In this particular sequence, I'm just going to go ahead and cut straight to the point. I'm going to use Zefroth, the Ritual Beast Tamer Zefrindi, and a way to send our trusty Dark Worm into the graveyard through Dragon Shrine. I'm going to start off my turn by activating the Dragon Shrine to send Dark Worm to the graveyard, then special summon the Dark Worm to add the Supreme King Gate 0. Next, I'm going to activate Zefroth into the scale to play Zefra Nui, then I'm going to normal summon Zefrindi to add the Zefra Nui back into my hand. Activating the Gate 0 into my scale, I'm going to use both of these monsters for a link summon into our Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, and then Electromite's going to go ahead and place Chronograph Sorcerer to our scale. Heavy Metal Foes Electromite is actually not going to do anything. Actually, no, I can't, because I need the Pendulum Summon. I'm tripping. I'm going to Pendulum Summon the Zefra Nui, the Zefrindi, and the Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm to my side of the field, using Zefra Nui's effect to add a, Zefra card from my deck to my hand. I'm going to add Oracle of Zefra and just go ahead and activate it. That's going to allow me to add Zefroxy to my hand. Literally, I'm just BSing you. This part of the combo does not matter, ladies and gentlemen. It's just free. From there, I'm going to go ahead and use Electromite's effect to destroy the Zefroth to add the Chronograph Sorcerer to my hand, and then trigger the effect of my Chronograph Sorcerer and my mandatory Electromite draw a card. So special summoning the Chronograph Sorcerer to my side of the field and drawing a card, I'm in excellent position to finish off the FTK. Since Electromite is a Psychic monster and Zefrindi is a Psychic monster as well, I can use both of these monsters for another link summon into Cancer Sorceress. I'm just gonna call her Cancer Sorceress because so many cancerous combos come off of her. It's not necessarily her fault. From there on out, I'm gonna put myself in a really good position. I'm gonna use both the Chronograph Sorcerer and the Zefra Nui for a link summon into Beatrice the Eternal Lady. Beatrice detaching any of the materials, it does not matter, to send Destrudo to the graveyard. Oh, wrong card. To send Destrudo into the graveyard, now you can pay half your life points to spell summon Destrudo to your side of the field. From there, we're gonna put Destrudo into face down into our bottom of our deck, and then we're gonna put a Dark Worm into our extra deck so we can synchro summon our Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. Meteor Burst Dragon is going to allow us to special summon the Gate Zero, and now we can use both of these monsters for an Exceed summon into our Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Use the effect of Summon Sorcerers targeting the Beatrice to place Galen Duo to our opponent's side of the field as a negated monster. Now, the most important thing is that you make the Gaia Dragon Thunder Charger. Can't remember how many times I've seen this being done, and they don't make the Thunder Charger and they don't understand why. I'll be able to explain it to you actually in this combo sequence right now. You're gonna use the Summon Sorceress and the Gaia Dragon for a link summon into your Agave Dragon. Now, the reason why the FTK only works is because our opponent has a negated Galen Duo on her side of the field, and unfortunately, Galen Duo's effect to destroy itself is not continuous. It is a trigger effect, meaning that it will activate every time your opponent takes damage. Now, Agave Dragon's effect does inflict damage, but it can only inflict damage if you have a dragon monster in your graveyard, which is why I've just seen so many people mess up by either not playing Thunder Dragon or not summoning Thunder Dragon to their side of the field. I don't know why people just don't read cards. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm one of them. So basically what happens is Agave Dragon's gonna inflict damage to our opponent because we have a dragon monster, and that's gonna trigger Galen Duo's effect to destroy itself. Galen Duo's effects will be negated on resolution because of Summon Sorceress, but now it's gonna trigger Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon's effect. Flare Metal is gonna inflict 500 damage to your opponent, which is gonna then trigger your opponent's Galen Duo's effect to destroy itself. But since this effect is negated, well, you guys can already understand what's gonna go on. It's gonna be an endless loop, well, not an endless loop. It's gonna be a loop between Galen Duo and Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, continuously inflicting damage to your opponent, as well as Galen Duo negating its own effect to destroy itself, which will eventually result to your opponent having 0 life points. That's pretty much the FTK, but it's pretty fun to do. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Zefra has so many combos, I couldn't list every single one of them into this video, but it's still a really fun deck to play. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.